If you are selling your home or you're thinking about it in 2026, this is kind of a video that might humble some people, and I don't mean to offend, but there are mistakes that I see over and over and over sellers making that unfortunately we haven't learned yet, even in the information age with the internet. So I'm gonna walk you through 8 mistakes that commonly sellers are making, and hopefully you can avoid them when it comes time to sell your home. Let's dive in. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, my name's Marina Tolentino and I'm a real estate agent here on the island of Oʻahu, and I've been doing this for the past 5 to 6 years. Got my license in 2020. And quick background, I used to be a home stager. I used to own a business called Rome Rentals where we went around and staged the homes that are for sale. And so I know what it takes to sell a home and tap into that buyer psychology to find a home that they're gonna fall in love with, right? It's so much more than the price, than what the listing description says. It's the presentation and the feel. And so this video is really gonna dive into that. But suffice to say, I have experience and I love helping my sellers sell their homes for top dollar in the least amount of time. Let's dive into the first mistake. This one's gonna be pricing based on emotion versus data. And typically, unfortunately, I kind of see this in older sellers. Maybe you're towards the end of real estate, you've been doing this for 20, 30 years, and you know the neighbors really well. But now that you know kind of the gossip on the neighborhood, you think your home is worth the same, that Mr. and Mrs. sold over here and Mr. and Mrs. sold over here. Not factoring in all the different things that we look at when it comes to value, just based on hearsay. And so really when it comes to that, you get stuck on a feeling of what your home's worth, and it's not actually data backed and driven. And so that will cause people to list their homes typically for more than what it's actually worth. So when offers are coming in at market value, that might be $50,000 less than when you listed, it's an automatic rejection, which causes the price or the listing to sit on the market even longer. And now your buyer market is a little bit worried about your listing because it's been sitting on the market so long. As the buyer's agent, I'll call these listing agents sometimes just to be like, hey, what's the word? How come it hasn't sold? And they will let me know, hey, the seller really wants this number and they're not willing to take less. So right there, that's kind of a red flag as a buyer's agent that, wow, they're not even negotiable because they're so emotionally tied to a certain number, all right? So don't do that. I wanna make sure that we are making our decisions based on data and not just emotions. So when it comes to this too, also, you got to keep in mind your strategy is greater than your ego, which again, it's a little humbling. We're going to have to take a little hit to our pride when it comes to our home because it's our baby, right? We've been taking care of it. We've been making upgrades with blood, sweat, and tears. Surely it's worth more. But really the first 7 to 10 days are everything. So when you're working with a listing agent, hopefully that's me, we are going over the presentation strategy. We're going over what exactly is going to happen in the first 7 to 10 days. It's not just hit upload. There's so much going on behind the scenes. So I want to make sure you are up to speed on that. And so you are on board as one team with your agent to sell your home. Mistake number 2 is thinking that old upgrades are still valuable and considered new. And so what do I mean by old? If it's anything greater than 8 years, it's old. And so really when we say new upgrades, we're looking for things in the last 3 to 4 years. Even better if it's in the last 1 year. But sometimes we may think like, oh, we remodeled our whole kitchen 10 years ago. It's a new kitchen. Hate to break it to you, 10 years is a decade and styles change, you know, wear and tear occurs on these things. And so in your head, it's still new, but to the buyer perspective, this thing is already old and they might want to make replaces and changes to it. The other thing when it comes to thinking of things being 8 years old as still new, you got to keep in mind what's out there on the market. And so you should be comparing your condition of your home honestly against new construction because that's the buyer's options. They are comparing 2026 brand new out of the box with your 10-year, 20-year-old home, and you're over here thinking it's all new when they've got top of the line air fryer microwave hoods and they've got smart doorbells over here that we're comparing with. And so for them, it's gonna be quality of life, but also what does my money get me? If it doesn't make sense, like side by side, they're probably gonna lean towards new construction, which means again, your home's gonna sit longer on the market and you're gonna have to come down more in price. So making sure we are listing and marketing it for what it is, not what you think it is. Mistake number 3, this one's kind of tough because every situation's a little bit different, but it's not preparing your home for today's buyer. So one of the things that's kind of sticky is living in the home while you're trying to sell it. There are ways to work around this, but it can be, like I said, tricky, especially when you have little kids who are still making sticky fingers on the walls, and we've got fur babies who smell like dog in the house. I mean, those are things we can't really avoid, but it does play on buyer psychology. And so when they walk in the home and they see your family's beautiful faces on all the picture frames, it starts to tell them, this isn't my home. This is still this person's home. And so I can't really envision myself here. Plus it needs to be majorly deep cleaned before I can even move in. And so there's kind of like a mental block that happens to buyers' psychology. So recognizing, presentation is everything, and it's going to take a sacrifice of keeping your home in pristine condition the entire time it's listed. Obviously there are ways too where we can say only showings within 48 hours. So you have time to clean your home, but it is going to take a grind to get this thing done to present the way that it should. Alternatively, ideally, you're moving out and then able to show the home. So it's not completely bare and naked and vacant. We will stage it. So there's something, but that buyer psychology, again, is so strong. They want it to smell clean. They want it to look clean. They should be able to swipe the top of the oven and it should be pristine and not have yesterday's grease on it. Okay, so those kinds of things do matter. The last thing I'm gonna say about this too is gonna be that online photos are your first showing technically. Realizing first impressions are so important, and sometimes all you get is 5 seconds. 5 seconds of a click through to be like, do I like this home or do I not? And so if your countertops are covered with appliances and coffee cups and whatever, and you haven't taken the time to truly prepare your home to sell, it's gonna turn off people. And so you want it to be what it actually is when they walk through the door. It should be in the same condition as those listing photos because that's all you have. Mistake number 4 is selling vacant without a plan. So sometimes this happens, like I said, you're gonna move out, so now the home is completely vacant, but it's bare bones. I mean, you didn't do anything to it and you thought you're saving money, but instead what happens is, one, buyers can sometimes make it feel smaller, which seems counterintuitive. You would think that with furniture, it makes the place feel smaller, but actually without furniture, it can feel different because you don't have scale to compare it to. So if I'm looking at a big empty open space living room and I don't have an 8-foot couch to compare it with, my brain could trick me and say, hey, I don't even have room for my sectional. Like, this place is too tiny. So you need some kind of scale there to help them envision their life as it goes. And then also just recognizing like the lighting and everything like that does matter too. And so if it's vacant and you didn't do anything, they're also gonna look at all the flaws. Like, unfortunately, that's what happens. Because they don't have anything distracting them and kind of thinking about, oh, my life will be so great here, look at this cute artwork. Now they're looking at, oh, walding, scratch, oh, the mirror is rusting, oh, I just noticed the toilet has a crack. And that's actually what they gravitate towards instead of the feeling of being in the home. And so it becomes a very nitpicky situation with a buyer instead. Mistake number 5, expecting a bidding war in today's market. We gotta adjust. It's 2026, it's not 2022 or 2021 when you might have bought. And so the market is very, very different. At this time, it's April 1st. And so we are definitely hitting into the spring market, which means more people are playing right now. But with that said, it's not super competitive. It's still a buyer's market. And so don't expect 3 to 4 offers the first week that you list. In fact, our average days on market right now is between 30 to 60 days. And so even if your home is sitting for a month, which makes a lot of people panic, it's actually okay. It's just gonna take a little bit longer, but it doesn't mean you have to drop the price $30,000. It doesn't mean you have to give up your arm and a leg to sell your home. It just needs a little bit of patience. Okay, so just recognizing that. And then with that, your buyers are gonna be a little bit more cautious when it comes to negotiating. They're gonna wanna ask for things, but all within reason and relativity. And so that's where your relationship between your listing agent and the buyer's agent can make or break those negotiations. You don't need 10 offers, you just need one good offer. Okay, that's what we're gonna focus on. Mistake number 6 is ignoring negotiation strategy. So again, this is kind of a pride issue. Unfortunately, our sellers can get a little cocky and we think that we know it all. But unfortunately, or I should say, fortunately, your listing agent is the expert in this space. This is what they do all day, every day. They're representing buyers, so they understand the buy side, and they're representing other sellers, so they have context when it comes to how much should we give? What should we help them with? What should we not help them with? Don't get offended by low offers. Don't get offended when they're asking for $50,000 in credit, because guess what? As a buyer's agent, I get that done all the time. Yes, it takes some education to help the seller understand why we're offering those things, but don't just write it off because, oh, I don't like what they said. Like, no. There's a conversation that has to happen so that you understand what you're selling. And your ego will kill a deal, bottom line. And so being willing to give a little bit more, even if you don't want to. For example, when you go to sell your home, you agree on a list price and acceptance price, right? Might be a little bit different on what you hoped for, but you'll come down 10 grand because you just want to get this thing sold. Well, then what happens? The next week we do our home inspection. And if there are things that pop up in this inspection that we didn't think were a big deal, but the buyer's making it a big deal, For instance, I had a buyer who was offering on a brand new construction condo, not brand new, 2 years old, and there's rust in the sink. And we're like, what the heck? It's a brand new sink. Why is there rust in here? We want that professionally cleaned before we do. It's a small mini item. The seller refused, like literally would not hire a cleaner, would not get it done. And so to that buyer, it was instantly off-putting of like, well, then they definitely don't want to sell this home because they can't even pay $500 to bring a cleaner in to clean one sink, if even $500. It's such a small item. And so perspective-wise is even if you have to give an extra $5,000 for the home inspection issues and things that they want to get done, it's very, very relative when it comes to the big picture. If you are selling your house for $800,000 and you're only having to give $5,000, is it worth losing the deal? No. And then the other thing I want to confirm too is like you have a buyer's agent and a listing agent who are working together as a team to help both parties. Guess what? We have commission we can work with. And so I think this is something that doesn't go said enough. There are many, many times where I will happily give some of my commission to help the deal stay together. I'm not saying I can give away everything because I still got to make a living, but you know, if I can pitch in $5,000 and the other agent can pitch in $5,000, guess what? We got a $10,000 surplus now we can work with to help everybody get to the finish line. Making sure you're recognizing that. Last two, we're almost done. Mistake number 7 for sellers is you trust Zillow over strategy. Unfortunately, there's still people, and I think this is more of the old school generation, where they think they can list it and the internet's going to do its thing, and you're trusting, you know, those estimates over market value. No. We're not doing that game anymore. We're not playing that. You need local experts who have boots on the ground. Yes, AI is very helpful in helping us get ballpark numbers, but it's not going to be specific. It's not going to be for your home with the upgrades and the things that you have in your specific HOA. A lot of those times, those estimates on home value go by zip code, which could literally be the entire Eva Beach, which has old Eva, new Eva, Ho'opili versus just a Ho'opili resale. Okay, so just recognizing you need an expert in the space who is gonna touch, feel, and actually look at the condition of the property. Number 8, our last one is gonna be hiring the wrong agent. And I'm sure you kind of got that hint from this video that I would love to put my name in the hat to be a contender, but you gotta interview. And unfortunately, I think the statistic is most sellers only talk to 1 to 2 agents before listing their home. To me, that's not enough. This is one of the biggest transactions you're gonna do in your life. It's a lot of money on the table. And so you want to vet these agents. And in fact, I have a PDF download in the description below of 20 questions to ask your realtor. So you're truly vetting them. Not only on experience, but on communication skills. How prompt are they to respond to a text message? How fast can they get to an appointment? Are they showing up 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after? Are they on Hawaiian time? Like, these things matter. And so just recognizing that's going to be really important. Then obviously, if it's a referral, I think a lot of the times we just blind faith trust that, oh, because my cousin used them, that I should use them. Not necessarily. Again, you got to have a vibe check. How are we working together? Every person has different expectations, and so that can make or break a deal. And again, when it comes to this big transaction, you want to have full faith that they've got your back, that they're really doing what they said they were going to do, and there shouldn't be any weird feelings between you. You should be able to be completely honest with them if something's not working, or if you don't like the way that they did it. I would want to be the first one to know, like, please tell me if I'm not doing what you thought I was, so that we're on the same page. Okay, so transparency is key as well. The last thing I want to leave you guys with as we wrap this up when it comes to the big mistakes that sellers make is you got to look at the big picture, and then you got to do your research. Okay, so that's like the 2 big things. And just recognizing price correctly, prep intentionally, and stay flexible. Because if you have in your mind, this is how it's going to go, probably not going to go that way. And then you're setting yourself up for disappointment and frustration. And so the more flexible we can be, you know, with the same big picture in mind, the more successful you're going to be. Because at the end of the day, the purpose is to close and sell your home. So let's do it together. I would love to hear from you. You can set up a consultation for free in my link in bio below. I want to know a couple things. What's your mortgage loan payoff? So we can run those numbers on what your home could potentially sell for minus that loan payoff. How much are you walking away with, right? That's a good conversation to have. Then I want to know your timeline. How soon are you looking to sell? Do we have enough time to truly prep it properly to market this thing like it should be? Number 3, what are your expectations? Do you have any certain criteria you want me to address? Again, interview me, please. I will tell you how many transactions I did in the last couple of years, and how many of them were sellers versus buyers, and how many of them sold over list price versus didn't. Like, let's have those conversations so you are confident as a seller. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you stuck it to the very end. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you next Friday with another video. Bye.